Alright guys, I got a 2013 Subaru XV Crosstek. I'm going to replace the factory doubled-in radio with an aftermarket doubled-in. And here's an image of how the dashboard looks with the original radio still mounted in there. And I'm going to go over the steps that you have to take to remove this dashboard. As always, use the correct dash kit for the vehicle, as well as the wire harness or any other antenna adapters you may need. And we're going to go over to the instruction booklet that came with the dash kit, and you're going to notice that it has step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 there to remove the dashboard. And it's telling me to disconnect the air selector cable located on the driver's side of the center console behind the dash and above the gas pedal. Then it'll instruct me to go to open the glove box and drop it down, and you'll see another temperature selector cable located on the right side of the radio. Once you drop the glove box, you're going to be able to see it like you see it on the images here. The first one, it tells you how to unsnap it, and then it'll show you here how to unclip the dash panel after that. So I guess the temperature cables are attached to the bottom of that dash bezel, and they go to the right side and one goes to the left side. So you gotta remove them, because otherwise you can break the cable just trying to unsnap the dash bezel that surrounds the radio. Once you remove that, of course, you're gonna see the bolts that are securing the radio into the dash. So you just remove those screws and the radio will slide out. And of course, you're gonna have to unplug the harness and the antenna cable that's plugged into the back side of the radio. Alright, so it shows that to go to the driver's side, but I came to the glove box first, to the passenger side, and I'm going to show you these two sides, this one, and there's one on the right side. You just kind of bend them inward, and at the same time you got to remember to remove, if you notice that little shock absorber thingy that you see there, it's attached to the bottom right there. You just press on the little pin there and it'll unsnap just like I have it there. And once you drop down the glove box, it unsnaps off the dash because it's being held in there. And you'll notice, see, hopefully you can see it, the cable is right there attached to that little knob there. So you're just probably gonna have to squeeze it and remove it off the little knob there, and the cable will loosen up, and then, like I said, it'll come outward with the dash bezel that surrounds the radio. On the driver's side, you're going to see the same deal up there, so I'm going to go over there and take a peek and remove it. This is the cable already removed, if you can notice, so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like. See? So it was inserted in that plastic piece, just like that, and once you remove it, then you can separate the cable from the little clip that's holding it right here in place, and just leave it loose like this. It's going to come off with the dash bezel anyways when you remove it. Right now I'm going to jump over to the driver's side and take off the other side of it. Alright, I'm on the driver's side, and I looked already up there above the dash, sort of in the same location as the factory side, you know, kind of in the same location. I can show you if you want. I don't know if you're going to get you're probably not. You're not going to see a good view of it, but if you stick your head and body underneath the dashboard, you could look up there and you'll see the same mechanism from the heater control cable that's attached to the heater control knob down there in the bottom of the driver's side. You could see it, and it separates the same way. So I wish I could have shown you more, but I can't. So, but seeing the passenger side would kind of give you a better understanding of it. And if you read and see the diagrams on the actual dash kit, you'll get an idea of what it looks like. But I see it up there, so I'm just going to unclip it and start removing the dash. I went ahead and removed those two cables, the one that states to remove from the driver's side, and also the one behind the glove box, to the left of the glove box, once you remove the glove box, of course. Now it's stating for me to remove the trim panel that goes around the radio, just to unsnap it, and to remove 4 Phillips screws from the head unit to separate the radio from the dashboard, just like you see here. It'll be labeled probably a screw here, here, and the 2 bottom corners. Or actually on this one I'm showing arrows pointing at the bottom, so there you have it. On this one, the dash is pretty tight on there. So what I did, I was trying to find somewhere where I can wedge this little panel plastic tool that I have from the bottom, but I couldn't get an area of where to attach it to. So I was able to put it in here, and of course, don't pry. You want to pull. So that's what I did, and I already separated this corner, and I'm going to work myself around to this side and slowly start detaching the dash bezel away from the radio. So I was able to unsnap pretty much all of it there. The rest is going to be just to remove it towards you, but slowly pull it apart, because remember, you have a cable over here and cable here from these knobs right here. So you're going to try to make sure you guide them out at the same time that you're pulling the dash apart. And remember, you got to unplug the hazard switch as well, and whatever other harness might be attached behind this. This is the harness that was plugged into the hazard switch there. So if you notice, I don't know if you can get a good shot there, but it has a little clip here. You just press down and at the same time pull it. And that'll separate the top portion of it. The bottom, it looks like there might be harnesses below what it looks like the air controls. There's going to be 2 harnesses down there, because I see 2 looms of wire going in there. So I'll separate the same way. It'll probably have a little clip you press and pull it apart. And then the other ones are the 2 cables that you released earlier, or that I released earlier, going on the right side, left side, and just kind of guide them through in reverse order when you put the dash back together in the same direction that they're going. So noticing from the bottom of the dash, you'll notice 2 harnesses, those 2 white harnesses there. Let me see if I can get a better, clear picture there. You'll see 2 harnesses, but if you notice, the dash is pretty much off the radio already. So what you can do is just cover the remainder of the dash here, like I'm going to do with this cloth here. I'm going to put it underneath there so I won't scratch the dash, and then it gives me enough room already to take the radio out, and that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, you don't necessarily have to take this one out completely, but removing those cables from the other side just gave it some slack on the cables, so I can remove it to, you know, to the side to get the dash bezel out of the way. Now that I have the dash bezel out of the way, if you notice, there's a screw there, there's another one there, and the other 2 I could see them, 1, 2. Once you remove those, the radio should slide out, and of course, keeping in mind you got to unplug the harness, the main harness, and also the antenna adapter from the back side of the radio. Alright, this is the view from the back side of the radio. You'll notice antenna, slide it out. These 2 harnesses, the main harness and also probably the steering wheel control wires that are in here. The main harness is this one, and it looks, from the looks of it, this looks like a ground cable. You see it has a little clip, push it and then pull it. Same thing's going to happen with this one. I'm going to unplug it the same way. It has a little clip at the top. Just press it and unplug it. It looks like some type of special antenna that this has. Could be the satellite radio antenna, who knows. I'm going to actually find out. It's not the radio antenna, because the radio antenna is this one, and this one is probably not going to go back into the aftermarket radio, because of course this is proprietary and this is only plugging into the original radio. Make sure that when you disconnect, or prior to you disconnecting and unplugging the factory radio, take out the CD out of it if there is one in there. Sometimes these radios are, or the factory radios on some cars are code protected, so when you plug them back to power, it's asking for a code, and if it's not your car, you're not going to know the code. Obviously, you're going to have to either get it from the customer, and sometimes some customers know it or know where the code is at, and some don't. So make sure you take out the CD first, and that's it. This is what the dash cavity looks like after you remove the dash bezel, then the radio, and you're left over with those 2 harnesses right there, those white ones, the antenna, and the ground cable, which is that tan one right there. If you notice, these are the 2 ISO brackets that came with the kit, and also the double thin trim that goes in front of it. And these brackets are gonna be labeled on the side. One says left, the other one will say right, like this one right here. You can notice the letters, it'll say right there. And if you match them up, they look like the factory ones. Same bolt pattern, the bottom and the top. And these are going to be bolted onto the side of the doubled in radio, and then the trim kit around it. So this is the new doubled in radio with the kit in place. If you notice how the brackets are, and they have the same bolt pattern that the double DIN radio has on the side. And I'm gonna actually screw it in with these ISO bolts that came with the radio. You're gonna notice the left side also. You'll match it up with screw holes that are available to put the screws in place. The kit snaps into this front piece. It has a little slot on the side, both the left and right side, and it just will look like this after you're done mounting it, and it'll bolt on to the same way the original one was. The aftermarket radio, already bolted with the kit. You'll notice the screws are going to go in there, and also the bottom location. Same thing as the original radio. Bolts on the left side, right side, and the bottom. Guys, my suggestion to you is that if you're going to remove a factory radio, well, let's just say that your car still has a factory radio located in the car, buy the harness, the aftermarket harness that plugs into the vehicle harness and converts into aftermarket wiring, which will match up to every single wire in the new radio harness. Whatever's not being used from here or here, make sure you tape up the ends to them. But it makes the installation a lot simpler and faster. So make sure you use that. Don't just go over there and start splicing into wires or cutting them, or let anybody tell you that you don't need one. You do need one. And it keeps everything still factory. That way when you do install the original radio back into the car, because you're going to sell it or something like that, you can still plug in the original radio to that without any troubles. So I plugged everything in behind the radio, the harness, Bluetooth mic, USB cable, backup camera input. I plugged in the radio, the antenna, Bluetooth mic, USB cable, which are routed, if you see right there, through the glove box. I'm going to drop it in the glove box. And then I'm going to screw in the original screws, the same locations, down there, and another one on the top right corner. So I'm getting ready to snap in the panel back together. Remember, guide those cables on the right and left side for these controls that you removed from previous, and snapping the dash and screwing everything back together is reverse of how you took it out. So I'm going to go ahead and snap this in back together. But as you can see, you're starting to see the picture of how everything's going to look like. This is how it looks, or should look, after it's all snapped in. Alright guys, I got it done. Snapped it back together. This is what the radio looks like. I secured the Bluetooth mic up here next to the rearview mirror. Tucked in the wire all alongside there, ran it down the pillar, into the dash. This wire is the parking brake wire, which I still have to hook up. I'm going to route it right here in the center, tie it into the parking brake wire. Once that wire is attached, that's it. I'll be done with the installation. But this is already done up here, which I don't have to mess with anymore. Shoot me up any questions. I'll answer them as soon as I get them. And I'll see you in the next vehicle.